Hello my friends, and a blessed Trinity Sunday to you all. I would like to welcome you to the channel this evening for another reading of Hunter's Moon. I've just not long been up from a siesta, slightly bleary-eyed, because this morning, to give you a Lord Montgomery update, I was up at about 6:30, I think it was, so I didn't get sort of a Sunday lie-in. And Monty has worked out how to get onto my bed now. Initially he couldn't, for some reason, but he has learned how to scale the mattress. I decided thereupon to have one of his, you know how they spaz out, I think, is that the expression? It's probably politically incorrect, that, so I take that back. But it was an expression. Smoking my mini Churchwarden fireside. It's got a tiny bowl, and this is my second smoke of the day. And within it I have some perfection. Samuel Garth. Tiny bowl, so really it's like I've had a pipe earlier. Not bad really, considering when you consider I got up at 6:30. And this is only my second pipe. And this is really only half a pipe. So anyway, that's that. So yes, Monty decided to awake me. I didn't mind, because he's a good lad, and again he retired a bit later than normal, I think. Monty retired at 10:30, and so I mean that's still good to sleep through. And I think he only really got up because he wanted a wee. And I think he went for number 2s as well, because his litter tray is not far from my bed, but it's in what we might describe as the bathroom area that's been turned into a pantry, and and it's now underneath, right in the bottom, so it's out of the way. And suddenly this stench, which can only be described as something from the bowels of hell, filled my nostrils. This is before he came on the mattress. And I realised Monty was up. What a foul stench it was. By the horns of Beelzebub, I said to Monty, what foul stench is this? Just looked at me. Anyway, he's doing well. Thanks for all the comments. I've had lots of lovely people saying, they love Monty, and that's nice. I had a few unsubscribers after yesterday's video. I can only assume it was because of my twerking references. You can't have twiddling bottoms and Christianity coming together. Unsubscribe. People are so sensitive, aren't they? God love them. They'd be hopeless in a war, wouldn't they? Yes, well, there we are. Well, I haven't got a lot to talk about today. That's why I thought I'd read my chat. And we're about due a chapter, aren't we, of Hunter's Moon. Those of you who enjoy it, enjoy it. I don't get a lot of views for the reading ones. And I understand that entirely. Who the hell would want to listen to somebody reading their own nonsense? Even though it is a good book, isn't it? But I'm going to do it anyway. I primarily do it for myself because it is a very good exercise reading it out aloud. And it just gives me a feeling for the flow of the book. I had a lovely email today. And I'm sure she's watching, because she said she watches them. So, hello Caroline. All the way from Yorkshire. Antiques dealer, lovely woman. Used to be an expert in George Jones, well, probably still is. She's had lovely cats. I first met her when she was walking her cat down to the river, the confluence of the River Nid and the River Ouse in my old village. And I was walking my dog and she was walking her cat. Lovely thing. It's gone now, bless her. Anyway, she was very excited to see Lord Montgomery, and she asserted in no uncertain terms that the Hermitage here was pussy paradise. And it is. I mean, it really is. I mean, this place is tailor-made for a cat. So thanks for that, Caroline, and keep watching. You'll get regular updates on Monty living his best life on the mountain. Anyway, I was going to press my timer, but I've forgotten to, so I'll just crack on with the novel, I think. I haven't got a lot to say. He's had lots of silly little presents. What I'm going to do, I haven't done an intro to this one, a video intro. I will just, when I finish spouting, I'll just put a few little bits of vid of what Monty was up to today. And for those who like looking at cats, it won't be very long. The only other thing I've done today is I planted out the rest of those trees. And they're all planted out now. And I haven't bothered to show you because how boring is that, looking at some trees in pots. There's going to be a slurper, by the way, those who could hear it. Anyway, less of all this nonsense. Where did we leave it, Hunter's Moon, last time? Oh, that's right. John was in the pub, or just leaving the pub and asking all sorts of leading questions about Lorna Stroud. And, yeah, he'd gone to place his advert, hadn't he, at the local printers. Anyway, we're on to chapter 11, and we're back with Lorna. Are you sitting comfortably? You are? Oh, good. Then I shall begin. The farm never looked as homely as it did when all the decorations were up. Alan and Vera both agreed that Lorna had done a splendid job. She was finishing the top of the Christmas tree by crowning her endeavours with an angel that could have been present in the original manger. It was old and a little tired, like most things at Home Farm. It had survived well. Everything was just as it was when Lorna was a child. The furniture was the same and in the same position. Alan's life was lived outside, and Vera, since forming her new home after marriage, saw no point in rearranging things. Her life and her husband were just as she liked them, fixed. "Well done, lass. Job's a good 'un," Alan remarked, as Lorna stepped down from the stool. She stepped back and admired her handiwork. Warmed by the familiar glow of the family hearth, the hallowing of Yuletide, and the intimacy of a loving family, Lorna felt comforted. Yet with each passing Christmas and New Year, she was increasingly becoming aware of her age. She was a grown woman, and still lived at home, and remained unmarried. Then, of course, there was Patrick. As Lorna packed away into boxes the remains of the decorations no longer fit for purpose, she mused on her life with Patrick Jessup. Patrick and Lorna had known each other from what seemed all their lives. They were inseparable at Fellside School. They were both as brazen as at each other, with a confidence beyond their years. Lorna excelled at games, whilst the gangly and respectable Patrick did not. He was even then only interested in commerce. From beneath the lid of his old school desk he would entice the other boys with a raft of toys and comic books, fixing them with his greedy stare as pocket money exchanged hands. As a child, she was more boy than girl, but as she grew up, her tomboyish smile grew increasingly framed by a palette of simple country beauty, an English rose by any other name, and her searing good looks burnt their way into the hearts of many a hopeless young suitor. As older boys, Patrick and Simon Jessup had been shipped off Fellside School and moved from the Dales into the Howardian Hills. There they would be educated by the monks of Ampleforth. Although Lorna enjoyed this reprieve from the intensity of Patrick's demeanour, she always looked forward to his coming home outside of term time. Their relationship was more organic than auspicious. She couldn't remember a time when Patrick had asked her out even. What started as a childlike companionship continued into adolescent exploration, and then finally into the settled courtship that they now enjoyed. Well, Patrick enjoyed. Lorna wasn't so sure. Lorna had shown no interest in the other boys, and Patrick was local, he was comfortable, and not without charm. Now, all these years on, they were still together. It was a comfortable relationship born of familiarity. Separate interests protected it from being irksome. Lorna had her horses. Patrick had his antiques. In fact, not only did he show a reluctance to ride, he exhibited a distinct fear of horses. In turn, she was indifferent to the world of antiques and took no interest in his sports cars. Whatever diffidence Lorna felt around people in general and men in particular, there was no such ambivalence when it came to horses. Horses were her world, not men. One knew exactly where one stood with horses, and unlike men, they were a lot easier to figure out. And so living on the farm with her small livery proved a satisfying existence as she thought possible to have. Lorna's thoughts were interrupted by her mother. "Glass of something, darling?" No, not for me. I still have the horses to do. I don't want to feel groggy later on at this drinks thing." "Oh, aye, the Christmas drinks," said her father. "Best bib and tucker." Alan always treated social events that were of any consequence with complete indifference. Vera, on the other hand, was looking forward to it. As much as she loved life on the farm, she relished an opportunity to break up its necessary monotony. Anyway, this was an opportunity to wear something different for a change. Tonight would not require a black tie, but not far short. Most socials at Thornbury Towers were conducted with the utmost propriety, and guests were expected to turn out in the correct livery. Lorna wasn't feeling as cheery. To her, they represented more opportunities to feel awkward. Despite growing into a handsome woman, inside she remained the tomboy of her youth, and felt clunky in an evening dress. But there she must be, in a black cocktail dress and pearls, hair up, while inside she was hair down in joppers and smelling of horse muck. Patrick, on the other hand, would be exultant. He would bask in the reflected glory of both the fine surrounding of his own home and that of his girlfriend. Lorna, having finally packed the last box of broken baubles and fairy lights, took them through into the back room. Her spirits lifted slightly. Well, at least Hattie will be there, and she can be most entertaining in drink, she thought to herself. Lorna and Hattie got on well with each other, but only informally. Apart from the 10-year age gap, Hattie spent most of her time in London. Not for her the awkwardness around boys. On the contrary, she seemed to perfectly blossom in the company of men, and as such Lorna thought to herself she would provide the perfect detractor for this evening. "Right, I'm off," she announced to her parents. "Leave some hot water for me," she said, with a smile at her father. Alan was still in his favourite chair, scrutinising the local paper and chewing his pipe. He didn't look up. Lorna disappeared out of the back door. "At least you get to stop at home," she muttered as she passed Snatch sitting on his bale of hay. "And you don't have to wear a dress." The cat sat up, stretched, and resumed his slumber with exaggerated disinterest. And that, my friends, is the end of that short chapter today. Very short chapter. And I hope you liked it. It was so short I didn't even have a drink or a puff on my pipe. But there we shall leave it for today. A very short chapter. The next one's quite short too, where John is preparing for the drinks party. After a fashion. I hope you're all well on this wonderful Sunday. I enjoyed using my silver chalice for the first time today. It was rather fun. Yes, it brought a certain, I suppose, solemnity to the process, which it ought to do. A load of pump equipment arrived today. Unlike the builder who didn't even turn up, or leave a message saying why he hadn't turned up. There must be some cross wire somewhere. But not a good start, eh? But the pond equipment did, various filters, the pump itself. What I'm going to do in the short term, and maybe in the long term, but in a better fashion, is pump water up from my holy well through a filter into, what are they called? Is it ICB? The containers, is that what they're called? It's not ICBM or something, that's an intercontinental ballistic missile, isn't it? Is it ICB? Something, you know what I mean, those huge big containers for liquids. And you have to be careful because some of them are used for things other than food. You want a food safe one. This, I believe, was transporting honey, so they should be okay. Anyway, the plan is, I've got to phone a lady tomorrow, and I think it's 50 quid inclusive of delivery, which is good. And if I can get one up on that top bank behind the house, I can pump the water up from the well and get some sort of tap hose situation coming back down again. And that will be good. Don't you think? Because we did have the builder out the other day. He was really good. And they will need water on site, won't they, for cement and other things. That's just useful for watering the plants and other, you know, all that type of thing too. Although I do rather like the romantic experience of going to my holy well with a pail in my hand and coming back with a bucket full of water. Something very wholesome and organic about it. Rather than just switching on a tap. But there will be a time when we'll need to have water on hand. That's not the long-term solution. Although a variation of it might be the long-term. I'm going off the borehole idea. I spoke to everybody along here and everybody has the same sort of thing. They just have they take the water off the mountain, the spring water, whatever it is, and just harvest it and pump it and filter it. None of them have boreholes along here. So we'll see. Might be expensive and more trouble than it's worth. Anyway, my friends, I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you've had an enjoyable Sunday. It's felt like a Sunday today too, hasn't it? Quite autumnal here in the United Kingdom. So, God love you, God keep you. This is Father John signing out at the end of another chapter of Hunter's Moon. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Cheerio, my friends.
Well, on this channel we love an unboxing, and Monty's got his first unboxing. Oh dear. Monty. This little boy is spoilt. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Looks like roadkill.
It looks like roadkill.